This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this StockBox interview.
Joining us today is Jason Germiquet, the MD of Axies Ventures. Thank you very much for your time, Jason. How are you?
Oh, doing very well, Mark. Great to be here with you.
Good. Well, it's good to be talking. Of course, we did speak to someone at Axies not so long ago, but of course you are the MD. Before we get into a bit of an update on what the company's been up to and what the plans for the company's activities are, of course, with all the projects on the ground in Cyprus, can we just get a bit of an introduction perhaps to yourself, who you are, where you've come from, why you've joined the team at Axies?
Of course. Joined the team in April this year, so it's been 6 months. My introduction to the company was through Heinrich Müller, our technical director. So he's been involved with the company since its foundation about 3 years ago. So during the peak period of COVID and the lockdowns, the company was able to build itself up during a pretty difficult time, but they've done extremely well. And I followed their progress. And yeah, very glad to be part of the team as MD. And a little bit about my background, if I may. So studied geology and mining engineering in South Africa and joined Anglo American on their bursary scheme. Heinrich and I both were on that scheme together after university, and we worked together in numerous projects within the Anglo American portfolio. And then I moved over to gold in West Africa, leading a geology team at a medium-sized gold mining operation, and then base metals back in South Africa with a large global company. And yeah, that's a little bit about my background. Enjoyed the mining industry and very happy with where Axies is going at the moment.
Yeah, okay, well, let's just talk a bit about where Axies is going. But before we get into that, maybe just tell us a little bit about how Axies sort of formed, how it all came together, how the sort of the assets came together, and really, what's it all about? What's the investment case for projects in Cyprus?
Right. Well, I think you've tagged Cyprus in here, and that's definitely where our focus is on. We also have some opportunities in portfolio within Canada.
Okay.
But looking at Cyprus in particular, there's been a historic lack of modern exploration activity. Cyprus, during millennia, has been the predominant supply of copper within Europe, and we find that the opportunities are still available. So 3 years ago, there were some opportunities for some permits. They were picked up, put into a portfolio. We've been building that portfolio since. We now have over 30 square kilometers of land packages within 5 different projects. And these projects, they range between very early stage to historic mining operations, so old complexes that are now defunct. And we have surface opportunities within this historic mining complex, as well as deeper targets within the various other projects. And within Canada, we have 4 projects. There are copper, gold targets, and I can touch on that a little later, but definitely Cyprus is part of our targets this year.
Sure, okay. And are you sort of on the ground in Cyprus? Where are you based?
Oh, I've cut my teeth on the ground, Mark. I love getting my hands dirty, so I'm based in the UK. We have a country manager within Cyprus, very, very well regarded within the circles and networks within Cyprus. That's Gabrielle. So she heads up our on-the-ground operations, our interactions with regulators. Mm-hmm. And recently, I was in Cyprus 2 weeks ago. We just completed a drilling program.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's just talk about the state of the projects then. So what have you been up to recently? I know you were drilling at Lithrodontas recently, but also Kokkinoantonis. I think you're planning a drill program, or you're getting on with the drill program. So where are you with the drilling and activities on the ground?
Yeah, exactly right, Mark. If I can go back to Lithrodontas that you mentioned, that drilling program was completed in September last year, September 2023. And what that did was it proved Axies' approach to exploration and the exploration model within Cyprus. So what that looks like is using remote sensing data, soil sampling, rock chip sampling, mapping, is to bring all these data sets together find specific targets and then drill, confirm these, and get the depth kind of understanding. Lithrodontis then proved through a very successful drill campaign, six of our holes intersected a sulfide body, some still open at depth, and that was a very good, let's say, box to tick for us as a company. Okay. Through that learning, through that success, we've just completed our second drilling program at Kokkinoantonis, which you mentioned. There it was 12 holes, 2 within the historic ore body that was mined up to the 80s, and then another 10 within the dumps around the old historic mining location, where we've started to identify the historic stockpiles. And this is building on some very, very exciting rock chip sampling that we did earlier this year and last year at Kokkinoantonis, up to 1 gram per ton on these stockpiles and dumps. So we're then looking with this recent drilling program that completed last month, we're looking at what are the grades within those stockpiles. The 1 gram per ton was taken on surface. So we're going to get an idea of within those stockpiles as well as the volumetrics of the stockpiles. And then within the pit, perhaps even more exciting, actually for me, the most exciting about the pit is we completed 2 holes, one at 200 meters and one at 106 meters. Both these holes had sulfide mineralization throughout the depth. We took some historic data from Kokkinoantonis and the historic mining data. We were able to identify that there was still promise at depth below the pit, with the current pit. So we drilled it near, let's say, about the middle of the pit depth along the ramp, those 2 holes. And definitely from the drill chips that we've seen, we can confirm that there's sulfide mineralization, up to 200 meters below. We've sent those to the lab, so we should be getting results within the next few weeks.
Right. Okay. So at Kokkinoantonis, you're waiting lab results effectively, and that will inform the next stage of drilling. At Lithrodontis, you said 6 holes intersected a sulfide body. What does that mean exactly? Do you look to sort of plan further exploration here? Yeah.
So what's exciting about Lithrodontis is that we're still not reached the end of this body that we've identified.
Okay.
So the holes were within a certain zone within our permit. Because we've confirmed that sulfide body, it means that we can now extend our next drilling program, so the phase 2 at Lithrodontis, using some more mapping that we've done at an adjacent property, which we added to the portfolio. So we've then doubled the square meters of Lithrodontis within the last 12 months. So that drilling program, plus the extended land package with extended mapping and rock chip sampling at the extension, will then be able to inform us of where's the next logical step within the next phase of drilling to then start to identify the edges of the body as well as where mineralization will be increasing.
Okay, and you're looking to do further campaigns, I think, is it post-IPO? What's the sort of date and timeline we're looking at here?
So IPO, we're well within our preparation period now. Okay. We've got our competent person visiting Cyprus to complete the technical report this month. So he's visiting this month. In Canada, we have a team that's about to begin the technical report due diligence process. Okay. Putting those together, we're hoping to get most of the bulk work done this year, and then IPO, our plan was to get that done, at least the preparation part, and start that the process end of this year. It might extend into the first half of next year.
Okay, so the target for IPO would be Q1 next year.
Yes.
Okay. And that's when you'd look to do extra, well, not say extra, but the next stage of exploration here. You'll get your funds, you get that unlocked, and then you can go ahead and do the further exploration. That gives you effectively, as well as doing all the IPO planning, which I know takes quite a long time. It's a lot of back and forth. But within this sort of period now, this last quarter of this year, are you looking to sort of get the plans ready to go at those at Lithrodontis and Kokkinoantonis so that when you do get those funds unlocked, the IPO, you can effectively hit the ground running?
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And as I mentioned, there's some other projects within Cyprus that are also very, very promising. So we have Shah North. Historic results from Shah North, excellent. Over 10 grams per ton within Gossan in the north. And in the south, some historic drilling results, about 30 meters at 0.8% copper. So we're pretty confident with that we have 2 drill targets already established for Shah North.
Okay.
And then adding some geophysics would be the next logical step for two of our other projects.
Okay.
So we've lined up our budgets for the next 12 months.
Okay.
And post-IPO, we're ready to hit the ground running.
Excellent. And does that include the Canadian assets as well? Because I think just from talking to you before, you've managed to secure some funding, some OJEP funding.
Exactly, Mark. So OJEP is run by the Ontario Ministry of Mines. It's a fantastic program, which allows junior exploration companies to really get their foot in the door to really support mineral exploration and project development, across that region. So we put in an application earlier this year. It was the first time we've put in an application for OJEP. OJEP program has been running for 5 years. And we were successful. We got the information about a week ago that we were successful with that application, which is a great nod to our team and to the prospect of Endikai project. So Endikai would be the recipient. This is a project would be the recipient of this funding. We put the program together. We're actually in the, let's say, on the tail end of doing the field work already. So we should have some results and some reports ready within the next month or two from Endikai. And as you mentioned, OJEP funding gives us 50% rebate in all that exploration funding. All the exploration expenses for that field work at Endikai.
Right. So you get 50% is covered effectively by the government.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. Okay. Do you have to put proposals forward? Is there a certain budget that they've given you, or how does it work?
Oh, so yeah, as part of the application, you would need to propose what kind of work you would be undertaking, how many samples, mapping, what have you. So we put in that in June this year, and very happy to be awarded that 50%.
Okay, so again, that can start again once you post IPO effectively.
We've already started, Mark. Yeah, it's field work is already almost complete, and then within the next month or two, we should have all the assays and report from our team on the ground.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So you've effectively got early stage exploration going on in Canada, which is supported by the Canadian government there, and you're ready to go. You're waiting samples from Kokkinoantonis, but you're basically going to be spending the next quarter preparing to do extra exploration at the 3 projects in Cyprus there, with the goal, presumably, what is it, to make a discovery or, to make a resource statement? What would be the sort of objective in Cyprus?
With Cyprus, our projects are at various stages of development.
Yeah.
I would say our most advanced project right now would be the Kokkinoantonis, which is a historic North Matthiatis mine and surrounding area. We've put in an application to extend that permit, tripling, almost quadrupling its size. So that would be our most advanced. There, we would then plan a phase 2 drilling after the results from phase 1 with the 2 holes that we've completed last month. Phase 2 would then allow us to define the extent of the ore body that was previously mined. And with that information, we would then look at the technicals and whether we should upgrade our drilling methodology. So we've used a very cost-effective first stage drilling method called RAB, which is rotary air blast. It's known as being the first step to drilling, and we're very confident that was the right decision. When it comes to resource declaration, or at least ore body delineation, we would then have a look at whether we would upgrade to RC or even just jump to diamond drilling. Okay. So we'll make those decisions based on the results from our last month's our drilling campaign.
Okay. So it's about understanding your body and then sort of getting down into more of the resource kind of drilling elements. So this is effectively a play on copper gold exploration in Canada, and of course a sort of a unusual jurisdiction, Cyprus, but certainly not an area that doesn't sound like the team have a lack of experience in. So of course you're going for IPO. And of course, you have already shareholders on the book. So if you give a sort of message to existing shareholders of where you are, how you feel the company's process, but also perhaps people who might be interested in taking part in that IPO when it does indeed happen.
So, Mark, you hit the nail on the head with this one, because where Axies is filling a gap of a lack of modern exploration within Cyprus. So the opportunity landscape within Cyprus is tantalizing. For us, and this is where we see our greatest opportunity. So our goal is to create a package or portfolio of very promising targets, which we've already achieved, right? We then have a stepwise approach into growing that asset base, so to speak, and ensuring that our portfolio, as it already has, covers the most promising targets. This is from greenfield. So there are areas where using modern techniques that previously were not, they weren't available for previous mining or exploration companies. We then have a step forward into identifying below surface in particular, but obviously with surface expressions, ore bodies that were previously unidentified, or at least perhaps only partially identified. So that's the case on the one hand, is we then start to identify new or pre-existing but larger deposits. And then on the other end of that spectrum, we have historic mining location, which was stopped during a rather unstable period within Cyprus's history. So a bit of a lack of investment. So we can see that in the historic record, a trend downwards in production during the 80s and 90s, and really a lack of investment since then. So Axies is positioned to take advantage of the modern technology that we have these days, and then B, the historic lack of previous investments and lack of production. We then, within this portfolio, have that greenfields opportunities, and then as well as near surface expressions of historic mining locations, which can then be evolved and developed into surface operations. So we could look at a low-cost operation at a historic mining location using dump material that's already on surface. This is why the dump drilling that we finished, that we completed last month, is very important for us to identify. This could be up to 3 million tons of surface material that's already been blasted and broken and ready to be processed, as well as the pit location, which has historic records of up to 600,000 tons of sulfide material, mineralized sulfide material at the pit. And with our recent drilling up to 200 meters, we expect that number to grow from the historic 600,000 to, and I don't want to jump the gun here, but we're talking, above 1 million, or, we'll find out soon enough, but it could be extremely large. So that's definitely our mission, and our case is a surface operation within Cyprus, backed by a portfolio and a let's say a funnel of projects that are at various stages of development, then all adding to what could be a low cost producer within Cyprus.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jason Germiquet, the MD of Axies Ventures.
Thank you very much, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.